The thought you didn't ask for is already there. It's not even something from today. It's last week or last month. Your brain doesn't care about the timeline. It just knows what hurts, and it goes back. You've been told to let it go. You've tried. You meditated, journaled, distracted yourself, pretended it was fine. And for a while, maybe it was. Then it comes back. It always comes back. This isn't weakness. This is what happens when something inside you hasn't been heard yet. Here's what no one ever told you. The way your mind works, this constant scanning, this replaying, this inability to simply stop. It isn't a flaw. It isn't anxiety with no explanation. It isn't you being difficult or fragile or broken in some way everyone else isn't. Psychology tells a completely different story. It says that people whose minds simply don't know how to do things halfway tend to share 5 very specific traits. Not disorders, not weaknesses. Traits. The kind that come with real costs. Exhaustion, yes, and self-doubt. But also with a depth of intelligence and feeling that most people never develop. Not a malfunction, a signal. And by the time we're done here, you won't be asking, what's wrong with me anymore? You'll be asking something much better. Something that might finally feel like relief. Trait 1. And it might be the last thing you'd ever call yourself. Your brain doesn't live in the present the way most brains do. It lives slightly ahead of it. While other people experience what's happening right now, your mind is already running simulations of what might happen next. You rehearse conversations before you have them. You imagine outcomes before decisions are made. You walk into a room having already pictured, in some detail, multiple versions of how it could go. Most people assume this is anxiety, that you're nervous or pessimistic or too much in your head. But this isn't anxiety. This is something much older. Your brain was built to anticipate, to see the storm before it arrives. That wiring didn't disappear. In you, it just runs deeper than most. That's not fear. That's foresight. The part of you that replays scenarios until they make sense isn't a broken record. It's a mind that refuses to be caught off guard. And in a world that rarely announces its surprises, that kind of awareness isn't a weakness worth fixing. It's a quiet form of intelligence most people don't have. Here's the second one. And this is the one that costs you sleep. You don't just replay events to understand them. You replay them to check something. You're at a dinner. Everyone's laughing. And part of your brain is quietly cataloging who seems off tonight and why. Later, lying in the dark, you go back to that conversation, the one that ended with a slightly odd silence, and you ask, did I say something wrong? Did I hurt them without realizing? Did they leave feeling seen? Or did I somehow miss it? You're not replaying it to punish yourself. Even when it feels like punishment, that's not what's actually happening. You're replaying it because you care about impact. Not just your own experience, theirs. Psychologists call this heightened emotional responsibility. It means you carry the emotional weight of your interactions longer than most people do. You notice tone. You track shifts in energy. You pick up on small things, a hesitation, a word choice, a slightly too long pause, that most people never register at all. While others move on, you stay. You check. That's not neurosis. That's empathy with unusual depth. That level of care is rare, and yes, it costs you sleep sometimes. But it means the people in your life have something most people never get. Someone genuinely, quietly looking out for them even when no one asked. Third, and this is where most people go quiet. And I won't pretend this is easy to hear, because the cost is real. The exhaustion is real. The nights are real when you're sitting still, Doing nothing, supposedly, you're not doing nothing. You're processing. Every room you walk into, you're picking up information that most people's brains filter out automatically. The shift in someone's energy, the undercurrent of a conversation, the thing that was almost said but wasn't, the slight tension in a space that no one else seems to notice. Your brain doesn't have the same filter. It takes in more, notices more, holds more, and then tries to make sense of all of it. This is what researchers call high-resolution processing. Your nervous system is tuned to a finer frequency. You don't experience life in broad strokes. You experience it in layers, textures, details that build into a full picture long before anyone else has started looking. And it's exhausting. Not because something is wrong, but because the work your mind does, constantly, invisibly, without anyone asking, is genuine labor. It's just labor no one can see from the outside. This is why you can come home from a quiet evening with people you love and feel completely drained. Not tired in the body, tired in the mind, like you've been running a marathon that no one else knew was happening. You weren't being oversensitive. You were doing more cognitive and emotional work than anyone in that room realized, including you. Think about the last time your mind wouldn't stop. Now ask yourself, what was it actually trying to protect? Stay with me, because the fourth one reframes everything. The same mind that generates your worst-case scenarios is the same mind that generates everything else. The stories, the solutions, the ideas that arrive at 3 a.m. fully formed. The way you can look at a situation and immediately see 5 things no one else noticed. The empathy that lets you understand people from the inside. All of that comes from the same place. Your imagination is unusually powerful. Not in a small, poetic way, in a structural, neurological way. Your brain's ability to simulate, to construct internal worlds, to project possible futures, it runs at a higher intensity than average. When that energy has a real target, a project, a problem, a person who needs to be understood, it becomes something extraordinary. But when it doesn't have a target, it turns inward. It starts generating scenarios from nothing, worst cases with no evidence, conversations that haven't happened, problems that don't exist yet. This is why just stop thinking has never worked for you. You can't turn off a powerful engine, you can only redirect it. And when your mind finally has something worthy of it, something complex and meaningful enough to hold its full attention, the spinning quiets. Not because the imagination gave up, but because it found what it was looking for all along. Your mind isn't broken, it's hungry. Let that sit for a moment. And this last one, the 5th, is the hardest to admit, because it looks exactly like a weakness. Even after you make a decision, a good one, a right one, when everyone around you has already moved on from, part of your mind keeps the question open. Was that really the best I could do? Did I say it the way I meant it? Is this aligned with who I actually am? This isn't perfectionism in the brittle, fearful sense. It's something deeper. Psychologists call it conscientious depth, an internal pull toward integrity, toward alignment between what you do and what you truly believe, toward decisions that feel honest on the inside, not just acceptable on the outside. Other people can make a choice, implement it, and close the file. You can't close the file. Not because you're afraid of being wrong, but because being right, being real, being honest, being genuinely careful, matters to you in a way that goes beyond comfort or convenience. You hold yourself to standards most people around you have never thought to consider. You don't want to look like you did the right thing. You want to actually have done it. That's not self-punishment. That's moral seriousness. And it's rare. The very process that exhausts you is the same process that builds you. And before we finish, I want to say something that maybe no one has ever said to you out loud. Not just the thoughts, but the weight of not understanding why. Spending years believing there's something wrong with your mind, that everyone else has some quiet switch you were never given. That belief is one of the loneliest things a person can carry. Your mind was never broken. It was never too much. It was always doing exactly what it was built to do. It was protecting you, processing everything, refusing to leave anything unexplored, caring so deeply about the world and the people in it that it couldn't rest until it felt sure. It learned that from somewhere real, and in its own exhausting, relentless, faithful way, it kept you going. The question isn't what's wrong with you. The question, the one worth sitting with tonight, is simply this. What becomes possible when you stop trying to fix the mind you have and start working with it for the first time?